Kevin Price with 912 Sports, along with Adam Wainwright. Of course, Adam is a former Glen Academy Red Terrier. We're sitting inside the field house, I guess you could call it, here at Glen Academy at the Waino, the field that Adam had built for the Red Terriers. He just completed a bullpen session where he also walked through some things with Glen Academy, did a Q&A, and it was really good. And in typical Adam Wainwright fashion, he said he enjoyed it. And that tells you a lot about him as a guy. Some professional athletes would be just kind of going through the motions. But of course, I know, Adam, this is your high school, and that means something to you. But first of all, man, it's been a long time since we've done this. I'm a little more gray. Of course, you're certainly older and mature and a lot more experience on yourself. But thanks for this time. And how excited are you to be going back to a spring training? You're just days away, about a week away from signing that new contract with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We got a great team. And the trade for Nolan Arenado just completely rejuvenated the entire program. I think, just from top to bottom, as far as fan base, player base, and front office, a big trade like that can do a lot for everybody's mojo. So going into spring training with a lot of confidence and a lot of heads held high.
Now, Adam, that contract, you did not agree to that until the very end of January.
Yep.
I mean, we're right on the verge of spring training. So baseball ended not all that long ago, but we've been through Thanksgiving and Christmas and the whole 9 yards. Were you ever concerned that this was not going to happen with the Cardinals or somebody, or were you always optimistic that Adam Wainwright, if he wanted to, which I know you did, was going to be back in the major leagues this year?
I knew it was going to be with someone. I had hopes that it would be with the Cardinals. Early on in the offseason, I was not so sure though. Business is business, and the Cardinals were going through a really tough business plan where they were telling kind of everybody they were going to cut costs and not take on any salaries and play young guys. And after this coming season, they're going to have 2 or 3 big free agents come off the books, so that they would then be able to go out into the marketplace and do something good. And they had fans in the stands. I think that's a big one for teams, is the uncertainty of how much revenue they're going to have coming in through the gates. So I understood that, baseball-wise and business-wise. And unfortunately, once you get old, man, everybody's got an expiration date at some point. You know that. And mine, I thought, well, maybe it is this year. But I knew I was going to pitch for someone. I had a solid year last year and did a lot of things well. And so we had some teams calling. I was hoping it was going to be the Cardinals, but if not, I knew it was going to be the big league somewhere.
Awesome. And of course, Adam, I know you said in some of your interviews after agreeing to the new deal that you were point blank about it, that you did agree to come back to the Cardinals maybe for less money that some other teams were offering. So for Adam Wainwright, how big a deal was it? Obviously you were willing to do it.
Yeah.
To come back to the Cardinals for less money, that really meant you wanted to stay a Cardinal, if at all possible.
Yeah, it's interesting because you go through these different places in your mind when you're going through free agency. You're thinking, I've always wanted to be one team. I've always wanted to play for the Cardinals. How cool would it be to start one and end one? When Smoltz went to the Red Sox and then came to the Cardinals, as much as I loved being his teammate, he just looked weird in a Cardinals uniform. He was a Brave to me. He needed that A on his jersey and on his hat. And anything other than that A was going to look funny. And I feel like I've played long enough with the Cardinals where that might look funny with me now. It's going to look weird on Yadier if he ends up signing somewhere else. He's a Cardinal, and you can't really take that away from us. We'll be Cardinals for life anyways, but to wear the same jersey is an extra special kind of thing that not everybody gets a chance to do.
And I was going to ask you that. Talk about Yachty. How important to you is that maybe he does come back? I know you were talking to the guys out on the field about just how well y'all know each other with just signals and not even putting numbers down and things like that. So obviously, if he were to come back, that could help you tremendously. I know you probably can't say it's a business, but are you optimistic that might happen with him? What can you say about that?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. Also, we just traded Dexter Fowler, friend of ours, teammate of ours the last 4 years, to the Angels. So that kind of freed up some cap space, I'm hoping, some salary space for maybe Yadier to get. But I think he's the best defensive catcher of all time. I'm probably biased, but also you hear other catchers say that around the league. Like, what's really cool is like Brian McCann would come to me and say, "Man, I love watching Yachty catch. Like, I like coming here to Busch because the atmosphere is great and the fans are cool, and y'all are a good match. He goes, but I really like watching Yachty catch.
He is fun to watch.
Yeah, and to watch, to hear All-Star, 6- or 7-time All-Star Brian McCann say that about another catcher, that's a pretty big deal, and he's not the only one. Everybody says the same thing. If you ask the guy who won the Gold Glove this year, if you ask the last couple of years that somebody won the Gold Glove at catcher, if you ask them if they're a better defensive catcher than Yachty, they're going to tell you no.
I got you. Now, you did mention about Smokes possibly being a different uniform, and this is the only thing I want to say about that. And I said this before we even came on the interview. My dream scenario was actually for the Cardinals to wish Wainwright the best, and they both part ways for maybe just 1 year.
Yep.
And then he goes back and does whatever he wants to with the Cardinals. But he comes to the Braves, pitches for the Braves in Game 7 of the World Series. It could be in Atlanta or in New York against the Yankees. Pitches 9 scoreless innings, leaves the game, and Ronald Acuna hits a walk-off home run, and the Braves win Game 7, 1-0, and the World Series. But Adam, we're still going to root for you here. You're a native son, you know that. Everybody here is an Adam Wainwright fan, regardless of what jersey you have on. But can you at least say if there's one team that maybe other than the Cardinals you would like to maybe go to the Braves?
I think everybody kind of knows that too.
Okay.
I mean, my teammate Matt Carpenter's always telling me that, like, you're just going to sign with the Braves at the end of the career anyway. But we started to kind of play that game in our heads because my daughter's coming up on high school, and we started thinking, well, if we really want her to be here to start school with her classmates, maybe it might be better to be closer, And so that's just a 45-minute flight and it's one flight, whereas flying to St. Louis is 2 flights and it ends up taking you about 4 hours to finally do it. So, I mean, we contemplated it. It was in the works a little bit.
At least you thought about it.
Yep.
All right, Adam. It's been 1 year at a time for the last couple of years, and every year Adam Wainwright comes through, and it's kind of like the Cardinals would be crazy not to get this guy another shot, and here we are again. Are you going into this thinking this is it, maybe it, or is it just like the last couple of years? We're going to go through it. We're going to see what happens at the end, and we'll all know at the end.
That
if
is
it's it or not.
exactly how I'm thinking about going through it. There was some idea maybe tossed around about 1 year with an option and all that kind of stuff, and then my wife and I were just thinking, especially my wife, she was like, well, why would you tie yourself into anything? You don't know what you want to do, right? And I was like, I really don't. I mean, it's really, at this point in my career, it's about is it okay for my family anymore to keep doing this? I'm moving around. We're about to pack everything we have into our cars, and our cars look like you loaded it from the sunroof. They're packed so tall to the top of the car. I mean, our daughters are holding their book bags all the way home, or all the way to Jupiter, and then when we get up to St. Louis, we fly from. So we move from here to Jupiter. We move from Jupiter to St. Louis, and then we moved from St. Louis back here. Every year we've done that. We've had multiple moves. Luckily, it's been the same place every time, so we kind of got comfortable with some of the places we've been. But it's a life of, you're a vagabond. You're a professional vagabond, really, going to all the different cities. And then I'm gone half the time when we are at home, at work, or I'm actually on the road and gone all the time. So I spend a lot of time away from my family during the season. And so my wife, we have 5 kids. It's getting harder and harder to do 5 kids, and she wants to play soccer, and she wants to play softball, and she wants to do dancing, and she wants to do, guitar, and she wants to do singing lessons, and she wants to do ballet, and she wants to do this. And now, oh, by the way, we got a little boy now, and we got to put him in this, and they never schedule anything in the same spot. They never do. She's on the very far end of this town, and she's on the very far end of that town. It seems like they never have something going on in the same place at the same time. So it's hard, man.
I know. And obviously it's hard enough to be on that mound, but it's probably harder to be Adam Wainwright at home. But I know it's been a lot of fun for you. You had a lot of fun during the quarantine. I saw as well, playing the guitar and everything else. But Adam, let's talk about the baseball. Obviously, you guys did make some moves. You mentioned the big third baseman. Obviously, you guys talked about him out there, and maybe they were a little bit taken aback by how good you think this guy really is. So just talk about the lineup that you guys are going to have in St. Louis, and kind of been quiet in the whole NL Central.
Yeah.
But you guys certainly, with you coming back and with getting him, y'all made some moves here in recent weeks.
Yeah, we'll be all right. I think we're going to be really good. And it did catch him off guard. I said Nolan was the best third baseman to ever live, and in Braves country, that's blasphemy. You know,
They were quick to say, "What about
Chipper Jones out real quick?" And I think Chipper would be the first one to tell you that Nolan was better at third base than him, though. But Chipper was bringing so many different things to the table: switch hitting, power from both sides of the plate. You know, just incredible player overall, and made that barehanded throw to first base as good as any third baseman will ever make it. But I mean, as far as third baseman defensively go, Nolan Arenado is just in a class of his own. I mean, if you play 8 seasons and you win 8 Gold Gloves, there is no denying the fact that you are the best third baseman in baseball. I mean, there's just you can't argue it. And so he just makes special plays. You know, I've got to see Manny Machado play a bunch, and he's a special third baseman. He has an arm like I've never seen at third base, maybe probably even better than Nolan's. I got to see what's the kid's name in Oakland that's so good at third base. He's special too, and guess where he went? He went to the same high school as Nolan Arenado did. I mean, these guys were playing shortstop and third base together in the same field. It's just crazy. But I think that defensively, it just doesn't get any better than him, you know. But offensively, you know, he's a 300 hitter for his career. He's hitting 30+ home runs every year. He's driving in almost 100 runs every single year, and he hits the ball well. In the NL Central, he hits the ball well outside of Coors Field. He's not one of those guys that hits 350 at home and 150 on the road. He doesn't do that. The guy rakes it everywhere he goes. He just has a great approach. If you look at him, he keeps his hands inside the ball so well, can drive the ball to all fields. He's a really tough hitter.
And Adam, obviously, let's talk a little bit about last year. I mean, you did have a good year, but wild, crazy year with COVID. You guys certainly were hit pretty hard with it. One of the first teams to have some problems, and it seems like the whole summer y'all were playing catch up with doubleheaders and the whole 9 yards. Obviously, you've been around the block a time or two, and you've pitched in stadiums full of people, and there was obviously nobody there, and there were all kind of different elements and all kind of weirdness.
Yep.
For somebody who's been around the game at all the levels, how weird was it last year from start to finish and everything you guys went through, battling through COVID?
Extremely weird, and we noticed it on the big moments. You don't really notice it on all the time because you're playing and you're locked in. When you're not playing now and you're sitting on the bench, then you notice it all the time because they play the fake crowd noise over the thing, and you can look around or whatever. But when you're in the game and you're playing, and you're locked in, you're trying to make a pitch, you're not looking at all the stands and all that kind of stuff. I've never once been able to find my wife in the stands. In 16 years, I had not been able to find my wife in the stands one time. But on those big moments, bases loaded, you know, no outs, you get out of it, come off the mound with a fist bump, and nothing happens, and you're like, oh yeah, there's nobody in the stands. That's kind of interesting. The weirdest week was the week in the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee, where we couldn't leave our hotel rooms. We could not leave the hotel room at all except to go get tested. And it was funny walking around there. The employees of the hotel, they did a great job. They treated us like we had the plague, which they should have. You know, we'd come walking that way and they'd straight out of town, you know, and they would come and leave food at our door 3 times a day and hit the road, and we would, you know, they'd knock and run, and then we'd come out there and get our food, go inside and eat. But they brought us 2 baseballs to throw inside the hotel room. So we had to put our pillows up on the bed, turn a mattress over sometimes. If we wanted to really throw it hard, and crow hop and just throw it in the mattress and pick it up. And you know, you feel bad for the guy underneath you because it's you know. But that was what we had to do, and so we did it. You know, it was something that we needed to do. We're getting paid a lot of money to provide a service, to perform and make people smile and laugh and bring some relief from everybody had it hard. You know, a week in a nice hotel is not a hard week for what most people had to deal with, and so we were glad to be able to do that kind of stuff to bring happiness to other people.
And Adam, just a few more questions. This is a high school sports show, and I want to bring it back to what you did today with the Red Terrors. But going back to your high school days, I mean, I know you pitched. You mentioned Game 6 against the Mets out there. That's one classic game. Game 7. That's right. Thanks for correcting me. Against the Mets, and of course you've been in the World Series. But one game that I remember about you that I regret I missed is one that Murray Poole went to. I think it was up in Jessup and against Wayne County, and I know you mowed through the Jackets, and you might have been up against another good pitcher there. I can't really remember, but scouts galore were in the stands with the radar guns watching you. That's the only reason pretty much they were obviously there. But that's one game that stands out to me about your high school career. But do you ever go back and think about the high school days?
Yeah.
I mean, do y'all talk about that even in the clubhouse?
Yeah, we do sometimes, but minor league stories and high school stories. If I walk by and I hear somebody telling minor league stories about you tell minor league stories, you're a big leaguer now. You gotta leave that in the past, right? But we do every now and then. We'll because when you get to the big leagues, everybody's got those stories. I mean, almost all the big league athletes were pretty special in high school. They were doing some really cool things, and so everybody's got some cool stories. But we got some guys with some really, really neat stories, what they were able to accomplish. The game I think about was against Camden County. Big rivals, they were, I think of two games, one good and one bad. Camden County, Coach Connors was over there, and in Camden you'd go there and they had the cans full of pennies that they would shake the whole time and make a lot of noise. Yeah, and their parents would be talking trash, and coaches would be talking trash to us, and I loved hushing those people up. That was fun, man. And I hit the farthest ball I've ever hit in Camden County. I hit it 500 feet if it went a foot, and I loved that day. But the other day I think about is against we played Lowndes County in the state playoffs. In my junior season, we had a really good team. We had a chance to go pretty deep if we beat Lowndes, and Stephen Drew was on that team, and they had a really good team too. But it was maybe 1 or 2 to nothing, or 2 to 1, or 1 to 1, or we were winning in the 6th inning, and one of their future professional athletes, Javon Moran, was up, and I remember we had a ground ball to third, and our third baseman threw it and caught it and threw it over to first base. First baseman made an error, and then the next guy, 2 outs, and the next guy just hit Javon Moran hit a 3-run homer off him, and we lost 3-1.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, if I just get him out, and I don't blame the first baseman, because you got to keep pitching. You can't. It wasn't the fact that he made the error that I gave up 3 runs. It was the fact that I gave up the home run to make us lose 3-1. So I could have got the next guy out. But Javon ended up hitting that home run directly into the wind. He hit it so far and it still went out. But that was one I think of, and it's a game that I just think, gosh, if we win that game, the next game we lost 16-0 or 16-1. But if we win the first game, I'm thinking, all right, we could have probably done something cool that day. But oh well.
Yeah, I remember that too. And Adam, obviously, when you used to go into press conferences, I know you used to wear the Red Terror undershirt, warm-up shirt. Do you still do that today, or have you changed that, or just talk about even doing that to begin with?
Yeah, I've done it in a couple of the NLCS press conferences, and I just every now and then I'll bust it out if I have it, if I remember to bring it along. But just a little shout out back home, guys are I know watching, caring, and staying up late to watch me, and just a little shout out to all the people who really followed my career close, because there's a bunch of them. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then talk about today, though. I mean, like a lot of big leaguers, it seems like, or professional athletes in general, sometimes they do stuff like you did just because they feel like they have to. But I can tell out there today, you were real engaged with the kids, and I could tell they were attentive to you, and they should be. But you gave them a chance to you got some work in, but also answered their questions and had a little fun with it as well. And I know that was just kind of typical Adam Wainwright, all in a nutshell. But and I know it means something that this is your old high school and you built this place. But you said you like doing stuff like that. Yeah. That's one of your favorite things to actually do. So talk about that.
Yeah. So I've been taught a lot, and getting kids who are still who are like sponges, that. The ones that are, you can tell, I looked around the group today and a lot of them were locked eyes. There's a couple guys that weren't, most of them were locked eyes, and they're really trying to learn, and I appreciate that. And they're asking great questions and asking about hitters and mindsets and all those kinds of things that I've experienced. Wow, what a waste it would be if I didn't share that, especially with their young folks who are impressionable, who can be swayed still, it hadn't been old enough yet to make a lot of mistakes yet, probably in a lot of different areas. They can, you know, you can. That's why I'm so grateful for our great coaches in this county, because they're coaching them up well so that they'll be prepared for the next level. You know, they're giving them a chance to have the most success when they go to the next level, when they're the most prepared. So I like teaching the game, especially to people who really are hungry to learn it. You know, it's a little harder to do that at the big league level, because everybody's so talented and they have their own way of doing things, and you can get a little bit of something,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hard to have a big impact on guys unless you spend a lot of time with them, which luckily I've been able to do with a lot of guys. But with these young guys, they're hungry, and you know, I'm a big league baseball player, and if I would have been in high school and John Smoltz would have come over and talked, I'd have listened for as long as he would have talked for. So I just think it's a neat opportunity for them, obviously, but it's a neat opportunity for me also to be able to share what I've been blessed with a lot of other people. I mean, it's not lost on me that I'm playing a game for a living, you know, professional baseball player. How amazing is that? What a life that I've been granted. So I got to stand up there and answer those questions. Yeah, because I feel like I have to, because I want to, because I need to. But I do feel like I have to, because I owe it to those guys, you know, and I owe it to this community, and I owe it to all the people that helped me get where I get to help somebody else get there.
I tell you what, he saved the best for last, because that was an awesome answer. And Adam, I could talk to you for days, and I know you probably know that.
You got my number now.
I know, and you're in trouble. But I know you got a family to get to, maybe some soccer, some girls to pick up at soccer practice, or getting golf lessons or whatever. But I do want to thank you for your time. I know that Red Terrors appreciated your time today, and as somebody who's been in this community a long time and followed sports a long time in this community, I know people do, and you know it, appreciate what you've done for this community, and appreciate moments like that today. And I'm assuming you're going to make your hometown here. I've kind of heard that once it's all said and done, you are going to come back here. So hopefully this community will, more baseball players in the future will get that opportunity like those kids did today. But we appreciate everything you've done for us, and it's not over yet. So if the Braves can't win it, trust me, we are rooting on Adam Wainwright.
I'll take it.
All right, man. Thank you, sir.
Okay, buddy.
Good deal.
All right.